my strong personality. I've had people go, oh, you're very stubborn. My new word is highly driven. And I do use that as my motivator to go, okay, if that's what you think, that's fine. But I'm doing what I do because I enjoy doing it.
Welcome to Building Perspective, the Master Builders SA podcast. I'm your host, Will Frogley. Join me as I speak with some characters in the building and construction industry.
Master Builders Insurance Brokers is where the building and construction industry goes for specialist advice. We know the right insurance cover is essential to the success of builders of all sizes. And we're here to help you understand, select and manage the right cover for your business. How do you know you've got the right cover? You trust the industry specialists.
It's a great pleasure to be here today with Anna Longford, who's the 2022 Master Builders SA Outstanding Woman in Construction of the Year. And she's also the first ever female Master Builders Carpentry apprentice. So, wow, what a journey, Anna. Great to have you on our show.
Thank you very much, Will, and it's a pleasure to be here.
So I guess, obviously we know a bit about you, but I think it would be really interesting just to hear about how you got started in the construction industry and where you've got to where you are today.
Sure, I'd love to share that. So I grew up in the country, up in the Clare Valley, in a big family. Thoroughly loved growing up there. Went through all of my high school and did my technical studies like wood trades and welding and photography and mechanics because I'm a very hands-on person. So did all that, did work experience with a local building company and I thought, oh, that's not bad. I quite like that. Finished year 12 and I thought, oh, what am I going to do now? I don't want to be a checkout chick for the rest of my life. So I enrolled in TAFE and I did the pre-vocational course at Elizabeth TAFE. So that run for about 10 months, I think. And then typically the MBA would come through and say, who's your top students? And I happened to be one of those and went for an interview and, got the Carpentry Joinery apprenticeship with Master Builders beginning in 1994.
Wow. And you're the first female carpentry apprentice ever for MBA.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
See, I find that incredible. I know we've still got a lot of work to do in this space, but to think that, maybe I'm a bit delusional, but I still don't think I'm that old. I'm 41, but I was in high school in 94. To think that we'd never had a female carpentry apprentice to that date still blows my mind.
Because it's not really that long ago.
Yeah, it's really not. So how did it feel going in there, I guess, being the only female, being essentially a trailblazer?
I don't know. It's probably got a lot to do with my upbringing. I have, I'm a one of six. I've got two older brothers growing up in the country, hands-on type of person. It was just something I wanted to do. And my whole attitude throughout my whole career has been just give it a crack, give it a go. So I thought, it's only 4 years. If I don't like it, I'll do something else, right? And I loved it, thoroughly loved it. But I did have a lot of support. So at that time, Winifred Hughes was running the show with the GTO, and it was just wonderful to have her there. If I'd had a bad day, I could go in and, say my bit and get a bit of support, and I used to call her my city mum. So having that support right from the beginning was wonderful.
And I've seen a great snippet. I think it might have been from the Advertiser from back in the day when, I think you were starting your apprenticeship and, it was this big story about a female carpentry apprentice. Can you tell us a bit about that photo shoot and what was going on at the time?
Yeah, absolutely. It was quite embarrassing, actually. So I went out to a few schools for a company at the time that was called Women on the Move, and I was nearly finished my apprenticeship. So I was going out to share my experiences with young women about getting into the industry. And I can remember the photographer saying, right, we want to get a photo. You've got your nail bag. And I was standing on a metal rubbish bin in a playground. And it was like, this is just weird. But the photo, I love it. I really do. That was me at 20. And what an experience it was.
I really see it as a kind of iconic photo for our industry, and again, it's an example of not that long ago. This was all brand new.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was. And I can remember going and speaking to those young women and, one of the comments was, what does a carpenter actually do? What do you do in your role? And explaining to them what I was doing at that time. And now I've got, many more years of experience and many more other roles I've done. So being able to share that knowledge has just been fantastic.
So tell us a bit more about what happened after you finished your carpentry apprenticeship and I guess the work you've done right up to today.
Yeah, sure. So I finished my apprenticeship in 1997 and I thought I'd go and have one of those wonderful gap years and went overseas. I went to America and Canada and that was fantastic. And having my trade, I actually picked up a few roles here and there, which was great. When I came home, I worked for a couple of local companies doing maintenance. I run my own company for a couple of years and realised that that wasn't something for me as a sole trader. I had a few roles within the industry. I thought I'd go back to TAFE and get my Cert 4, worked at Bunnings part-time, got a role as an estimator, a supervisor, like you can hear, a lot of roles I've had. And then I was teaching as a lecturer at TAFE, so teaching the young apprentices. I did that for about 12 years on and off part-time. And then I went back out and worked on the tools for a little while, run my own maintenance company, just doing bits and pieces. And most of my clients were women who didn't want to have that typical male maintenance person in their house. And I still do bits and pieces like that for some of my more older clients that live on my little peninsula. And then 4.5 years ago, I applied for a role at the University of South Australia in construction management. So I teach first and second year students.
Fantastic. And out of all the, I guess, roles you've had in the industry, what's been the most enjoyable and why?
Whoa, that's a good question, Will. I've thoroughly enjoyed all of my roles because they've just improved my interest and my understanding of the construction industry. So I think everything I've done over my career has embedded something in me. I love sharing my knowledge that I've got now. Sharing that with the new up-and-coming young people in construction is fantastic because in university it's very theoretical, so they don't get that building experience. So being able to share that, I love doing that.
Absolutely. It's fantastic to hear you've been a trailblazer and now you're giving back to the industry, which is, I think, one of the main reasons why you won the award. How did it feel to be named the Outstanding Woman in Construction a couple of weeks ago at the Convention Centre?
It was mind-blowing, to be honest with you, to be in front of, what did we say, 1,300 plus people from the industry. A lot of them I actually knew. I got many, many messages afterwards saying congratulations. And it was very nice to be acknowledged for all those years that I've put into the industry.
Well, one thing everyone talks about in the industry at the moment is the skill shortages, how hard it is to find quality people, regardless of whether it's a site manager, a project manager, a contract administrator, a trade, whatever it is, everyone's crying out for people. But we've only got about 12% of people in the industry are female. And if you're talking on the tools, it's more like 2%. So from master builders' perspective, we're only tapping into half our potential workforce.
Yeah. And it is, I have seen growth within the industry. Have we got a bit further to go? Yeah, we do. But exposing young people to the possibilities that are out there. So I know for my university students, yes, they come out with a degree in construction management, but making them aware that there's many other careers that they could actually go into. Estimating, quantity surveying, there's plenty that they could do. It's not just construction management. So exposing young people as early as we can, I think that's where we need to be heading.
And that's definitely what our Born to Build program's looking to address. We are getting a female field officer who has the brief to reach as many young females as possible and get them to consider being a tradie.
Yeah, and I think that's the way to go, is go out there and inspire them and encourage them and let them know that there is the possibilities out there.
Now, it's very important, obviously, that we attract more women to the industry, but what can we do to retain them? It's all very well to get them into our industry, but if they're only in the industry for, say, 5 years and they leave, that's no good for anyone. So how do we keep them?
That is a very good question. And that's something I think, it's not going to be an easy fix, and it's something we're all going to have to work towards. I believe that the industry's got to change a little bit more to be able to retain them. And that's up to companies and leaders and encouraging people within the industry to be able to support that. I don't think there's a quick answer, and I'd like to say there is, but it's just, having those role models out there that can support them.
And for us blokes, are we doing enough to support women in the industry? Have you seen our attitudes evolve for the better over time? What do you think about that?
Oh, absolutely. I've seen a huge change from when I think I was 17 and on the site with tools to what I'd say typical attitude was. It's definitely come a long way. It really, really has. We didn't even have flushing toilets. So, to have those, you say simple standards, but yeah, it has changed. And I think the mentality of all of industry, and especially some of our good male lead roles, that they're doing a good job.
And who are some of the women in the industry locally or nationally or even internationally that you think are excellent role models for women who want to make their mark in building and construction?
Oh, we have so many. here in Adelaide. I was lucky enough to be part of the high vis luncheon panel, and I met 2 other lovely women on that panel, and just being exposed to a lot of events, I get to speak to a lot of young women that are, trailblazers themselves, engineers. There's a friend of mine who's actually on maternity leave at the moment, and she's an engineer, and she was one of the first female engineers to be a construction manager. So that in itself is just amazing.
Again, it's really exciting, and again, it blows my mind that, I mean, even with us at Master Builders, we've got a fantastic policy director, Esther van der Linden, who's doing a fantastic job for Master Builders in terms of getting good policies in with the government that support our members. Esther's the first female policy director we've ever had at Master Builders.
Yeah, it's amazing,
And
isn't it?
It's incredible. And, I didn't even think about it until probably 6 months in. And then I thought, far out, I think, Esther, you're actually the first female policy director we've ever had. And she's doing an outstanding job.
So there you go. The Master Builders is doing their role there first, supporting. And you don't. I loved hearing other people's stories, because I get blown away every time. Somebody will say, oh, I do this, and I have this role, and I was the first doing this. But we just got to listen to their stories. They're out there.
Absolutely, absolutely. So currently a university lecturer. Have you got any other plans in the industry going forward, or are you quite happy where you are? Where do the next 5 to 10 years, perhaps, where are you looking to go over that time?
That's a really good question, Will. I love my role at the university, and I'm passing on that knowledge. I would love to be more part of encouraging young people into the industry. I think I've got, years of experience in very many roles that I could share that experience. So, I'm interested in options of what that would look like. We've had the job summit with the ideas of what they want to do, and also women's equity and diversity. So, there's lots of things that I believe I could give forward and encourage young people.
Construction's a high-paying industry. It's hard work, but the rewards can definitely be there. We hear a lot about the gender pay gap. If we get more women into a high-paying industry like construction, that should go quite a long way to addressing that pay gap, shouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think it will. Because I think having women in the construction industry just brings a completely different attitude and mindset for those that are currently there, and just, difference of opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. A different perspective. We can all learn from that. And one thing I'd like to ask you about is, you were at our high-vis luncheon earlier in the year where we had Alison, who gave an amazing presentation about being a woman in the industry, the challenges, and also how to retain women. And one thing she's pushing really hard is the 5-day working week. Obviously, we have to be realistic. A lot of clients demand a 6-day or working program, but something like a 5-day working week, do you think that would help retain women in the industry?
Yeah, I do think so. And I think, having that 5-day work week, then they could have the weekend to spend with their families. And it's not just the women. I've seen some research from that, what is it called, Project 5, that Alison's done. And, there's dads been able to go to sports games on the weekend and have that more family time. And I think that's very important, because the construction industry can be your whole life, but you also have to have that happy spot where you're actually looking after your own mental health and your family.
That's very important, because, as we know, mental health is a huge issue in construction. And I think it is because of that relentless, hard-working culture that we have. It's very important that we find the time to spend with our family and friends, and pursuing other things as well, isn't it? As hard as that is sometimes, I know it myself, but it's very important for our well-roundedness, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And it is hard to do. Because, I've got a very strong personality, and I'm like, no, I've got this, I'll keep going. And you can, but is it really sustainable? And then what are we actually showing our young people or our children about, having that happy medium of work and life balance?
You said earlier that, attitudes have come a long way and are much more positive these days. And I think most males in the industry have been good. But have you ever had any really bad experiences that, I guess, made you question what you were doing, or hopefully made you, had an even greater resolve to be successful in the industry?
Oh, absolutely. I've had that from day one. Yeah. And I think my strong personality, I've had people go, oh, you're very stubborn. My new word is highly driven. And I do use that as my motivator to go, okay, if that's what you think, that's fine. But I'm doing what I do because I enjoy doing it. I know as an apprentice, if there was me and another young male, I'd have to do it quicker and better. And maybe that was a little bit of my own personality, but yes, I've definitely felt that, and I still get it right up into today. So it is a challenge, but I feel I always rise to that challenge. And if that means inspiring somebody else and changing someone's mindset, then, maybe that's one little job I've done to support them.
I absolutely love your attitude. It's so positive, and I think it'd be contagious with anyone you interact with. What advice would you give to, say, a 16 or 17-year-old female who's considering working in the industry?
Come on, give it a go. That's, like I said before in the beginning, my motto is just give it a crack, because there is other women out there that can support you. There is other really good male role models out there too. So please come on in, give it a go. There's so many roles within the construction industry, and I'm sure you'll be able to find your place.
Well, there you go. Anyone that's watching this, if you're ever dreamed or wondered about a career in building construction, your attitude can take you a very long way, and Master Builders would love to have you on board. So, Anna, it's absolutely great to have you in here today. Really appreciated hearing about your journey, your positive words of encouragement, and congratulations once again on being our Master Builders Outstanding Women in Construction of the Year.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. It's gone full cycle, Will. So you started me off, and I've been acknowledged for it nearly 30 years later. So thank you.
Thanks for joining me on Building Perspective. For more information on Master Builders or our guests, please visit our website at mbasa.com.au.